I love hearing those stories because I know how difficult, especially with Jay-Z.
Big Daddy Kane just pulled back the curtain, talking about Tupac's hatred for Jay-Z and why Hov's jealousy ran deep.
Pac would have probably been the Michael Jackson of hip-hop.
But Kane didn't stop there. He exposed what he calls Jay-Z's ultimate betrayal and his involvement in the entire West-East deadly rivalry that caused Tupac's death.
You mentioned Brooklyn. What is it in the water? What is it in the soil? Yourself, Biggie, Jay-Z.
We have our own way of doing things. You know, I just, think that plays a major part.
With Keefe D's murder trial heating up, the streets are talking louder than ever about who really had blood on their hands. Big Daddy Kane reveals the truth about Tupac's hatred for Jay-Z and Hov's jealousy. Big Daddy Kane sat across from the interviewer with the weight of decades on his shoulders. This Brooklyn legend, the same man who pioneered multisyllabic rhyme schemes and helped birth an entire generation of MCs, had something to get off his chest, and what came out of his mouth sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. Kane, real name Antonio Hardy, wasn't just speaking as an observer. This man had direct access to both camps. He collaborated with Tupac on tracks like Wherever You Are in 1996 and Too Late Playa in 1995, featuring MC Hammer. He also mentored a young Jay-Z, bringing him on tour and featuring him on Show Improve from his 1994 album Daddy's Home. So when Kane speaks on the tension between these two titans, he's speaking from the inside, looking out, not the outside looking in. In a July 2025 interview that circulated across YouTube like wildfire, Kane dropped a bombshell that had everybody rewinding the clip. He recalled a mid-1990s studio session where he, Tupac, and Jay-Z all happened to be in the same room. And according to Kane, the energy was thick enough to cut with a knife.
It's true. Tupac, he really had an issue with Jay-Z. He really didn't like him then.
Not at all.
Now those words might sound simple on the surface, but when you understand the context, you realize Kane just confirmed what the streets had been whispering for decades. This wasn't just professional competition. This was personal animosity bubbling under the surface, ready to explode at any moment. Kane painted a picture of Tupac, viewing Jay-Z as somebody who wasn't authentic. See, Tupac had just come home from prison at this point. He was aligned with Suge Knight and Death Row Records. He was looking at anybody connected to Biggie and Bad Boy with extreme suspicion after the 1994 Quad Studios shooting. And in Tupac's eyes, Jay-Z was right there in that circle, riding Biggie's coattails while biting flows that didn't belong to him. According to Kane, Tupac would say things like, "That dude ain't about that life. He's just watching and waiting." That kind of statement from somebody as intense as Tupac wasn't just trash talk. That was a character assessment. Tupac saw something in Jay-Z that rubbed him the wrong way, and he wasn't shy about expressing it in that studio session. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. Kane didn't just expose Tupac's feelings. He flipped the script and exposed Jay-Z's feelings too, claiming,
Pac would have probably been the Michael Jackson of hip-hop.
let that sink in for a moment. Kane, the man who literally helped launch Jay-Z's career, just insinuated that Hov might have been jealous of Tupac. Not competitive, not inspired, jealous. And when you look at the facts, Kane's assessment makes complete sense. By the time Tupac was 25 years old, he had already released 6 studio albums in just 5 years. He had starred in major motion pictures like Juice in 1992. He had become a cultural icon who transcended music and touched the souls of millions around the world. Meanwhile, Jay-Z at that same age was still grinding, still trying to get labels to even listen to his demos. Kane expanded on this dynamic in his September 2025 appearance on Club Shay Shay, where he spoke more philosophically about the two artists. Kane described Jay-Z as the quiet, calculating type, while Tupac was all passion and authenticity. He praised Tupac's lyrical depth, saying, "Tupac is a lyricist. His stuff is deep lyrics that touch your soul." That kind of praise from a pioneer like Kane isn't given lightly, but the revelations didn't stop at studio tension and jealousy. Kane also exposed what he views as Jay-Z's ultimate betrayal, not just of him personally, but of the entire West Coast side of the rap industry. See, Kane had invested heavily in Jay-Z's early career. He shopped his demos to labels when nobody else would listen. All those labels rejected Jay-Z at the time, but Kane kept pushing. He gave Jay-Z stage time during his tours, letting the young MC freestyle while Kane went backstage to change outfits. That's the kind of opportunity that can make or break a career. Kane was extending his platform to a nobody from Marcy Projects, betting on his potential when the industry wouldn't even return his calls. So what happened when Jay-Z finally blew up? According to Kane, he didn't get the reciprocity he deserved. He pointed out that Jay-Z only invited him to perform at Summer Jam once during his entire career. Once. After everything Kane had done for him.
Yeah, Jay
Jay had me come and do Summer Jam with him one year. I think
The perceived betrayal extended beyond personal slights. Kane connected Jay-Z's behavior to a broader betrayal of the West Coast and its contributions to hip-hop. Remember, Kane was friends with Tupac from his Digital Underground days. He had recorded with him during the height of the beef. He even turned down a $1 million offer from Death Row Records' East Coast imprint in 1996, partly out of respect for Tupac's memory after the murder. In Kane's view, Jay-Z's actions during the East-West rivalry, his alliances with Bad Boy through Biggie, his contributions to tracks like Brooklyn's Finest that Tupac interpreted as direct shots, all of this exacerbated the coastal tensions that ultimately led to tragedy. Kane sees the feud as something that could have been avoided if cooler heads had prevailed. He reminded everyone that he had Tupac and Biggie on stage together at Madison Square Garden in 1993, vibing and freestyling before the beef turned deadly. The unity was there. Then egos and industry politics destroyed it. The betrayal, according to Kane, was Jay-Z failing to honor Tupac's authenticity and the West Coast's raw energy. Instead of bridging divides, Kane argues that Jay-Z capitalized on the chaos to consolidate East Coast power, while the feud claimed lives. Jay turned my lessons into billions, but forgot the tree. The West lost Pat, we all lost. And that statement, delivered with the weight of a man who witnessed it all firsthand, sets the stage for understanding just how deep this rivalry ran and how inevitable the tragedy became. How Jay-Z's Brooklyn's Finest sparked the deadly East-West war that killed Tupac. The East Coast versus West Coast rivalry wasn't born in a single moment. It was a slow burn that started as friendly competition and evolved into something far more sinister. But there was a specific track that poured gasoline on an already smoldering fire, and Jay-Z's fingerprints were all over it. Brooklyn's Finest dropped in March 1996 as part of Jay-Z's debut album Reasonable Doubt. The song featured the notorious B.I.G., and together these two Brooklyn natives delivered bars that celebrated East Coast supremacy. But hidden within those verses was a line that would haunt both artists for years to come. Biggie rapped, "If Faye had twins, she'd probably have 2 packs. Get it? 2 packs? On the surface, it might seem like a clever wordplay, but Tupac, who was still recovering psychologically from his 1994 Quad Studios shooting where he was shot 5 times and robbed of $35,000 in jewelry, interpreted this as a direct taunt. And when you understand that Tupac blamed Biggie and Diddy for setting him up at Quad, you understand why this line felt like salt in an open wound. The response came swift and brutal. In June 1996, Tupac dropped Hit 'Em Up, one of the most vicious diss tracks in hip-hop history. He went after everybody: Biggie, Diddy, Junior MAFIA, and yes, Jay-Z too. This wasn't just lyrical competition anymore. This was war. But to understand how deep this beef really went, you have to go back to when Tupac and Biggie were actually friends. And believe it or not, these two future enemies started out as genuine brothers in the game. Their friendship ignited in 1993 in Los Angeles. Biggie, on a business trip to the West Coast, was introduced to Tupac through a mutual acquaintance. Tupac welcomed him with open arms, inviting Biggie and his crew to his home where they smoked together and dined on steaks, French fries, and Kool-Aid. Tupac even gave Biggie a bottle of Hennessy as a gift. When Tupac toured New York, he would roll up in a white limousine to Biggie's Bed-Stuy neighborhood and throw dice with the locals. When Biggie came to LA, he crashed on Tupac's couch. This was real friendship, built on mutual respect and shared hustle. At the July 1993 Budweiser Superfest at Madison Square Garden, the two freestyled back-to-back on stage. Biggie's bars wowed the crowd while Tupac hyped him up. Biggie even asked Tupac to manage his career. Tupac declined, telling him to stay with Puff Daddy because he will make you a star. So what happened? How did these brothers become eternal enemies? The answer lies in that fateful night at Quad Studios on November 30th, 1994. Tupac arrived at the New York recording studio after being lured there by Lil Cease, a member of Biggie's Junior MAFIA crew. In the lobby, he was ambushed, shot 5 times, beaten, and robbed. But here's what really broke Tupac's heart. When he dragged himself into the elevator, bleeding and barely conscious, he made it upstairs to find Biggie and Diddy inside the studio. According to Tupac, they were laughing. "I can't believe he would stuff on me like that," Tupac later said. From that moment forward, Tupac was convinced that Biggie had set him up. Whether that was true or not remains debated to this day, but Tupac believed it with every fiber of his being, and that belief transformed love into hatred. The beef escalated through diss tracks. Biggie's Who Shot Ya, released in 1995, was perceived by Tupac as mocking his shooting, even though Biggie claimed it was written before the Quad incident. Hit 'Em Up responded with explicit threats and personal attacks, including Tupac's claim that he slept with Faith Faith Evans, Biggie's wife. The media poured fuel on the flames. Magazines like Vibe and The Source sensationalized every exchange as a war between coasts. Fans picked sides, crews traveled armed. What started as hip-hop competition became an existential threat. Then came September 7th, 1996. Tupac attended the Mike Tyson fight in Las Vegas with Suge Knight. After the fight, they spotted Orlando Anderson, a Southside Crip who had allegedly snatched a death row chain earlier that year. Tupac and Suge's crew jumped Anderson in the MGM Grand lobby. It was caught on casino cameras. Hours later, Tupac was dead. A white Cadillac pulled up alongside Suge's BMW at a red light on East Flamingo Road. 4 shots from a .40 caliber Glock were fired. Tupac was hit 4 times in the chest, pelvis, and thigh. He died 6 days later on September 13, 1996. He was only 25 years old. The beef had claimed its first victim. 6 months later, it would claim another. On March 9, 1997, Biggie was gunned down in Los Angeles in a drive-by shooting outside the Peterson Automotive Museum. He was only 24. The case remains officially unsolved, though many believe it was retaliation for Tupac's murder. And from the ashes of this bloody rivalry, a new king emerged. Jay-Z had released Reasonable Doubt in June 1996, just months before Tupac's death. The album debuted modestly at number 23 on the Billboard 200. But in the aftermath of the murders, Jay-Z's street buzz exploded. Fans seeking East Coast anthems amid the mourning turned to his gritty narratives of Brooklyn life. With Biggie gone, Jay-Z stepped into the vacuum. His 1997 album In My Lifetime, Volume 1, peaked at number 3 on Billboard, selling 330,000 copies in its first week. His 1998 album, Volume 2, Hard Knock Life, went diamond, selling over 5 million copies and featuring the chart-topping title track that sampled Annie. By the late 1990s, Jay-Z had become hip-hop's top earner. He co-founded Rockefeller Records, launched Rockaware Clothing, which generated over $300 million in revenue, and eventually became president of Def Jam. He went from shopping demos that nobody wanted to becoming a billionaire mogul. As Kane himself put it, Jay turned my lessons into billions. But the question that still haunts the streets is this: did Jay-Z simply capitalize on tragedy through hustle and talent, or was there something more sinister at play behind the scenes? The conspiracy theories linking Jay-Z and Diddy to Tupac's murder, and Keef D's shocking confessions.
Tupac, straight representation. Yeah, brother. These niggas don't know what time it is, dog.
The investigation into Tupac Shakur's murder sat cold for nearly 3 decades. Witnesses refused to cooperate. Gang affiliations muddied every lead, and the East-West rivalry created a wall of silence that law enforcement couldn't penetrate. But the streets never stopped talking, and the theories they whispered painted pictures far more sinister than a simple gang shooting. The most persistent conspiracy involves Sean Diddy Combs allegedly offering $1 million for the heads of both Tupac and Suge Knight. This claim didn't come from some anonymous internet troll. It came directly from Dwayne Keef D. Davis, the man now charged with orchestrating Tupac's murder.
Yeah, that's why it goes down to the chain snatching. When the people were saying, you know, when the people first tried to snatch the chain, rumor back then that it was a bounty on that chain, that Puffy was saying we want to put this chain in in our video, and that's why the guys try to snatch the chain, and they didn't get the chain, and that's why Pac really took off and just started, you know what I mean, and fighting Orlando, because Pac looked at it like, this is my beef now.
According to Keef D's own words in multiple interviews and his 2019 memoir, Compton Street Legend, the bounty was discussed at a 1996 meeting at Greenblatt's Deli in Hollywood. Diddy, working through an associate named Eric Von Zip Martin, allegedly expressed that he would give anything for those dudes' heads. The frustration supposedly stemmed from Death Row Records' dominance in sales and the constant disrespect Tupac was throwing Bad Boy's way. Keef D claimed that after the shooting, he called Martin to collect a payment, but according to his account, Martin vanished with the money. Whether that advance was $500,000 or the full million depends on which version of the story you believe. Diddy has consistently denied these allegations, calling them pure fiction and completely ridiculous. Las Vegas prosecutors have stated that Diddy is not a suspect and no charges have been filed against him in connection with the murder. The claims have been dismissed by investigators as unsubstantiated hearsay, but that hasn't stopped the theories from spreading like wildfire, especially in light of Diddy's 2024-2025 federal indictment on sex trafficking trafficking and racketeering charges. Suddenly, people started looking at the hip-hop mogul differently, wondering what else might be hiding beneath the surface. Tupac's family even hired Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's former attorney, in October 2024 to probe potential connections between Diddy and the murder. The irony of that connection wasn't lost on conspiracy theorists who saw Jay-Z's lawyer investigating a case that some believe Jay-Z himself benefited from. Speaking of Jay-Z, his name also appears in the conspiracy web, though the evidence is far more circumstantial. The theory goes that Jay-Z, as Biggie's close associate and a rising star on the East Coast, benefited enormously from both Tupac's and Biggie's deaths. With those two giants removed from the game, Jay-Z had a clear path to the throne. Some point to the timing of Reasonable Doubt's sales surge after Tupac's murder as suspicious. Others note that Jay-Z prepared a diss track called Scathing in response to Tupac's attacks, but conveniently shelved it after the murder. Was this respect for the fallen, or was it something else? There's even a wild conspiracy theory involving the numbers 4 and 25, claiming that Jay-Z, Diddy, and Beyonce orchestrated the deaths of multiple artists, including Tupac, Biggie, Aaliyah, Left Eye, and Michael Jackson, as part of some Illuminati ritual. J. Cole's song She Knows is allegedly filled with clues about this conspiracy. Now, this one falls firmly into tinfoil hat territory, but it shows just how deep the suspicion runs in certain corners of the internet. The more grounded theories focus on gang dynamics. The prosecution's official position is that Tupac's murder was retaliation for the MGM Grand beatdown of Orlando Anderson, not a paid hit from rap executives. Keith D, as Anderson's uncle and a Southside Crips leader, allegedly provided the gun and coordinated the shooting. Anderson, sitting in the back seat of the white Cadillac, allegedly pulled the trigger, but Keith D's confessions are where things get really interesting and also really messy.
Do you believe Keefe D when it comes to Puffy? Like when he make comments and say that, Puffy was scared of Tupac and Suge, so he would use him as protection when he came to LA, and how Puffy put a bounty on the death row chain for $1 million.
In 2008, facing federal drug charges, Keith D cooperated with LAPD under a proffer agreement that gave him limited immunity. He admitted to being in the Cadillac's front passenger seat. He admitted to handing the gun to Anderson in the back seat. He claimed the shooting was spontaneous retaliation, not a premeditated assassination. Then in 2018, diagnosed with cancer and apparently deciding he had nothing left to lose, Keith D went public on BET's Death Row Chronicles and various YouTube interviews. He detailed the shooting with shocking specificity, describing how Anderson couldn't get a clear shot because Big Dre's massive frame was in the way. This self-snitching, as the streets called it, eventually caught up with him. On September 29, 2023, Las Vegas police arrested Keith D at his Henderson, Nevada home. A Clark County grand jury indicted him on 1 count of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon, plus a gang enhancement. Prosecutors aren't seeking the death penalty, but Keith D faces life in prison if convicted. And here's where things stand. As of November 2025, the trial has been pushed back to August 10, 2026. The delays stem from voluminous discovery materials and Keith D's decision to change his legal team in August 2025, hiring Robert Draskovic and Michael Pandullo after being convicted in an unrelated jail fight. But the pre-trial revelations have been absolutely explosive. Grand jury transcripts unsealed in September 2025 mentioned Diddy 77 times. They detail Keith D's claims about the $1 million bounty and Diddy allegedly asking, "Is that us?" after the shooting. Keith D's defense team has tried multiple strategies. They filed motions arguing that his 2008 immunity agreement should bar prosecution. Denied. They claimed new witnesses could prove Keith D wasn't even in Vegas that night. The court agreed to give them time to investigate. They've even pointed fingers at Reggie Wright Jr., Death Row's former head of security, suggesting alternate orchestrators. In a March 2025 ABC interview from jail, Keith D did a complete about-face. He claimed all his prior confessions were entertainment lies told for payment. He said he never read his own memoir and blamed his co-author for embellishments. He insisted he's innocent and that law enforcement railroaded him. "I did not do it," he stated flatly. Whether the jury believes him remains to be seen, but new evidence placing him at a Monte Carlo resort room booked under his wife's name on the night of the murder contradicts any alibi claims. Nearly 30 years after Tupac Shakur drew his last breath, the truth about his murder remains tangled in gang politics, industry beef, and the kind of conspiracy theories that only hip-hop can produce. Keith D sits in a Las Vegas jail cell, maintaining his innocence while his own words from years past threaten to convict him. Diddy faces his own legal battles while deflecting murder allegations. And Jay-Z continues building his empire, unbothered by whispers that have followed him for decades. The only certainty is that the streets will keep talking. And when that trial finally begins in August 2026, the world will be watching to see if justice finally catches up to whoever put those bullets in Tupac Shakur. That's all for now, fam. To stay connected connected for more of such content, please click on the card showing the screen.